Welcome, guys, to some SELENE APOPTOSIS. So look, I don't know if I'm gonna be using mouse or controller, so we better just see. And I got my heater on, yeah. So if I have to turn it off, I'm gonna turn it off. But right now, I'm trying to figure. The sound was driving him crazy. Monotonous, muffled thuds were resonating throughout his head with dull pain. The pain wasn't too strong, nothing unbearable, but that sound, more than anything else, he wanted to stop. He wanted that sound to just stop. Got my water bottle. Thud. Nevertheless, the knocking sound didn't end. He knew it well enough because he himself was their origin. Thud, thud, thud. The nose of his slipper was hitting the rear of his desk over and over again, like a huge fluffy moth frantically ramming against the window glass. He wanted plenty of things. He wanted to pay the rent in time this month, not to displease his landlady again. He wanted to finish the script, at least in draft, because a draft is way better than nothing. Something one can work with. That is facts. And he wanted to sleep. No, not quite that. The problem, a serious one, was that he didn't really want to sleep. He leaned back in his chair and rubbed his eyes shut, pressing his eyeballs until dancing pale lights appeared. Of course he took the sleeping pills. When a healthy 8-hour sleep gives way to a not so healthy 5-hour nap, then a 3-hour eyes shut break, and then goes away entirely, you stop thinking how this will impact your liver. You just want to sleep. Wow. Sorry, that was like insanely accurate. However, if the text could in fact write itself somehow, he would probably lose his job. He didn't have any illusions in this regard. As soon as neural networks get smart enough, he and a dozen of other ghostwriters will vanish into morning mist of a new era in literature. He didn't have much of a name or connections, only some skills and a knack to meet the deadlines for the most part. The client was content with this, and he was content with the pay, so everything went well until the pills started failing him. Blam! This time, the tick got too strong. His foot jerked and hit the board with very noticeable pain. Seemed like he even heard his toes crack. He muttered a short curse and rolled the chair away from the desk, although he knew, now that his attention was not fixed on the blank text file, the tick should go away all by itself. It's funny how the consciousness is detached from the body. He often thought about it, especially while having insomnia. Yeah, I already need water. In the end, you have no idea what's on his mind. Well, at least there won't be any more knocking. Good. A small window at the far side of the room flashed white for a moment. I'm not sure if a storm? Now that he thought about it, the day was hot. The I can't say that word. Stagnant air. I know the word. I actually know it. I just don't know how to say it. Viscous. I don't know. Filled the room. This and the barely audible squeak of an overheated network filter. He became sensitive to such things when he couldn't sleep for a long time. Made the entire room seem to vibrate a little. Actually, that did sound like a good line. He rolled back to the chair and was about to write that thought down, but paused over the keyboard. He remembered the individual words and the general idea, but the sentence had already slipped away. Dang, that's some crazy writer's block. This time, the white light seemed to fill the entire room. Then a thunder followed, resembling a low gut roar of something large and famished. Good Lord. He called to God way too often for someone who never goes to church, just a habit he inherited from his mother. A furious patter of raindrops pounded on his window. There's no way he could work like this. Not now, but maybe it's for the best. Since he was a little boy, he slept well during the storms. Had to seize the moment. He groped for a packer of sleeping pills. A packet of sleeping pills, probably. It's nice to have your work tools at hand. Popped the pills into his mouth and opened the window to hear the steady patter of the rain. Then he went to his bed and collapsed on top of the bed sheets, his clothes still on. He could tell by the sound of the water. The water had flooded the window's sill, and it was trickling down to the floor. Okay, we need a few commas and spaces. He decided that was a small price to pay. He felt a pleasant chill of cloth beneath his cheek. Did I read that right? The wavering haze was gradually fading from the room, yet the sleep did not come. He tried to take off his shoes, change positions, take a pillow, cover himself, throw the pillow away to the other side of the room. Nothing helped. He just laid there with his eyes closed, and though his closed eyelids felt heavy, he knew it was an illusion. All in vain. He's not sleeping. He can't sleep. What the what? Thud. At first he thought he was imagining things. Thud, thud, thud. Sometimes the knocking paused, but it never stopped completely. The sound came from below, from the first floor. Someone was banging insistently on the door, and with each thud, he could feel a rage building up like a tight knot of pain around his stomach. He is trying to sleep. Is it really that hard to just leave a man alone? At least at night. At least in the house that he pays for. In the house I pay for? Sorry, specifically so that nobody would bother him. He opened his eyes, easy just as he thought, sprang to his feet and ran down the stairs. Something was boiling inside him. Halfway to the door, he took a turn to the cupboard and pulled out an old baseball bat. He wasn't likely to actually use it. He asked himself if he would as he reached for the door handle. What the hell? The rain was still pouring, or rather, it was actually getting stronger. As his mother would say, and the floodgates of the heaven tore open. His mother used to say a lot of things. That was on the list of reasons why he had to rent this overpriced house where anyone could start banging the door in the middle of the night. A cat, for example. What the hell? Why do you keep saying what the hell? He said it again, this time aloud. She has an actual tail? A cat was standing on his porch. She looked like a purebred. That's literally a human, bro. Short hair, respect, except for the color. Aside from the smoky gray head, it seemed as if she was dropped into a vat of white paint, while her lower body was dipped into a black one. Wet fur clung to her small, rather skinny body, dripping with water. The cat could have probably slipped into the house as soon as the door opened, but instead she froze as if waiting for the host to say something. Well, that's cool. It's moving. It was cold outside. Much colder than one might think. He didn't feel angry anymore. I haven't even said anything. Alright, come in. He said, what? The cat didn't move. He said, so you don't want to, huh? He was about to say, fine then, close the door, go back to the second floor, and lie in a suffocating half sleep until morning. But he finally realized what was wrong. The bat. He threw it away, aiming for the sofa, but missed. The bat clattered on the floorboards. The cat followed it into the darkness with her round yellow eyes. The sounds didn't frighten her. He sighed. I won't hurt you. Come on in if you want. The cat raised her eyes at him. For the first time he actually saw and couldn't help admiring how big and yellow they were. The cat's pupils were also large and incredibly round, like 2 full moons in an eclipse. Just as he was about to close the door for the second time, the cat murmured something and fluttered into the house, butting him with her wet head as she passed by. He smiled. Strictly speaking, at this very moment, his line had ended. If the landlady found out, and he was sure she would, he'd have to look for a new place to live. There are plenty of lonely, bored seniors in the neighborhood, he thought, and they only have 2 hobbies: observing and reporting. The subject and the recipient aren't that important. Well, it's fine. Maybe he'd leave the suburbs. Alright, I'm gonna drink some water. So, just gonna let it keep going. He closed the door. Yeah, I kid you not. Like, these games are killing me. The cat explored the house with cautious curiosity, stopping by different objects, as if trying to understand their purpose. Watching that was amusing. So amusing he even forgot about the stain. When he remembered... I always yawn. I don't know why. He pulled the wet cloth away from his body and stared at it blankly for a moment, then almost groaned aloud. The cat was soaked, so she probably got a lot of dirt in the house. He decided not to turn on the light, and it's only with not web novels, with visual novels. He had enough disappointment for the night. Instead, he went to get a towel. Alright, come here. The cat turned her head to the voice and froze in place. She was examining the TV, a lifeless black mirror of a plasma panel and a lacquer frame, lacquer, I don't know, that he hadn't even touched since moving in. Hadn't is the word they were looking for. In the reflection, the cat herself looked back, black. She gave him a long, appraising look, and then, with a sudden eagerness, trotted towards him, deftly avoiding the obstacles. He was surprised. Maybe the cat decided he was more interesting than the TV, or maybe she acted out of respect for her host's will. Anyway, he felt grateful. Finally, someone he can actually negotiate with. I want to know why the cat's a person. That's what I want to know. Suddenly, he thought how nice it would be to crawl under the blanket with a warm ball of fur. It would surely have helped him to fall asleep. As a child, he had a cat, gray, huge, brash, immensely ugly, and equally beloved. He often fell asleep hugging him. The cat's name was Timo, and he faded into a June night many years ago. The cat bumped her wet head against him once more. He thought that cat usually shakes off the water themselves. Usually, but perhaps not always. Hey there. Hey, easy there. You're all wet. The cat looked up at him with her moon-shaped eyes and murmured something again. Do something about it then. Who the fuck you talking to? He smiled. Oh, hell no. He had to squeeze the fur thoroughly, so the towel soon turned into a wet rag. Should he... Who are you talking to? What the fuck? I can't see the word. Okay, it's just the same thing for... I guess I'll bathe her. That won't do. I'll give you a bath. As he carried her to the bathroom, just a word of warning. I'm blurring anything out, so I don't care. Anything and everything. Incredibly light body pressed against his chest. He was expecting the cat to bring out the claws any moment. Maybe as he opens the door now, or as he turned the lights on. Maybe this time, but nothing happened. The cat glanced around the new room and looked at him again with her intelligent, almost human-like gaze. Not a single muscle in her small body moved. She was curious, that's about it. She trusts me. He was about to ask her if she knows where they were and what was going to happen next, but that was just too much. So, it shouldn't be very difficult. The two of us can manage this. What do you think? He read somewhere a cat should get used to new surroundings before bathing. Fear is born out of the unknown, and in that regard, people haven't gone too far from cats. New scents, unfamiliar objects, and splashing of water. These are just shadows under the bed that will fall back if you get a better look at them. He carefully put the cat on the floor. She looked around the room again and returned her questioning eyes to him. It seemed like she got comfortable enough. He turned on the water in the shower and felt a gentle touch. The cat was already loitering around his feet. She was curious indeed. The shower isn't so bad as compared to the rain, is it? The joke came out a little awkward. He felt embarrassed and he didn't know why. Okay, good. It blurs it out for me. Okay, just making sure. She's just a cat. Maybe it was because of how the water glistens on her skin, or how she was looking at him from under half-lowered lashes. She was actually watching. He met her eyes and each time felt shame burn through him, but the shame was thick and sweet. But that shame was... What? He was a little dizzy. His hand slid over her smooth, wet skin, and each time he would ask himself, was it really necessary? Then he would feel her eyes on him, and his thoughts would melt, running down her thighs with the lather, disappearing between her neat toes. Ain't doing too much. The bathroom shimmered, molten, bright, pulsating with light. Or darkness? He felt he was losing his balance, and pulled his hands away. But she returned and pressed it to the wet, hot skin covered in a soapy veil. Okay. And that's still blurred out. I think we're good. She guided it. This is risque. I just wanted a visual novel to play that was free. Like, I got 2 others. He couldn't remember how he'd ended up in the living room again. The cat was napping peacefully in his arms. He absently ran his hand down the cat's wet back, tracing the bumps of her spine with his fingers. I should get you some food. Let me see what I have. He got up with just a tad bit difficulty, nothing he couldn't handle. Still, his body felt unusually heavy and unwieldy. Didn't you take them? He took them perkies. That boy's still walking. He had to give the cat something to eat. He will lie down afterwards and then, well, hell, maybe even fall asleep. Maybe he should have gotten a cat from much earlier. A ball of fur with a pair of moon eyes and a velvety voice that you can always negotiate with. And that's about it. What kind of funny... He could have avoided all that suffering if only he had a cat. The kitchen blurred before his eyes. He got to the refrigerator and opened it, squinting from the light and leaning on the door way harder than he was supposed to. If the landlady was around at the time, she would have told him exactly so. Don't lean on the door. After all, this is her house and her refrigerator, and everything should be neat and tidy in case she has to move new tenants in. Perhaps the landlady would have even warned him about the milk. The milk itself is completely harmless, unless, of course, you are allergic to lactose. But there's a special kind of lactose-free milk, right? What matters is the bottle. Bottles, much like cats, can vary greatly, but this particular one was made of glass. Did he drop it? If only the landlady was here, she would probably have told him not to touch the bottle, because he's falling on the floor, and the bottle might break, and then the milk will spill, and he will have nothing to feed the nice cat he found. Or rather, it was her who found him, and very timely, because he was lying on the floor. He had been lying there for some time, and would have been lying still if he hadn't felt a light touch of something hot and rough on his cheek. Said neck. It was almost like a dream, although of course comparing sleep with fainting isn't quite correct, no matter how you look at it. The floor beneath him was surprisingly hard, cold, and wet. He felt all those 3 qualities clearly, and was afraid to imagine what would happen if he tried to move. At least to see what's up. Because something hot and rough was still sliding up his cheek. Wait, what did... Okay. Pause, okay? Because that didn't sound right. Pause. We taking a moment to pause. Okay, continue. He felt a warm breath, and then a cautious bite. Ouch. He jumped on the spot. A shadow rushed to his side when he calmly began to lap milk from a puddle. What in the world? Yeah, this game, it's questionable. Please don't show it as you. Oh my god. I'm not even sure if I'm supposed to blow that. I'm not gonna blur it out. I'm just gonna make this 18 plus. Like, this is crazy. The cat. What are you doing? The cat looked at him briefly and licked her lips. No need to be this dramatic. I think there is. You were lying around idly and you're not even a cat, see? Besides, oh, I guess she's talking. Well, you're right. I let you down and had to get my punishment. What? What? I let myself down too. Bro, what is he talking about? Good lord. Now there's a cleaning to do too. Do until the next advent, like his mother would have said. I'll go get a rag. Stay here and don't ruin what's left of the kitchen while I'm gone. The cat watched him go with a skeptical look. Bro, this dude is weird. You know, this whole game is weird. When he returned with the bucket, the cat was gone. She's in my house? That's a crazy change up. Some words were missing. In the kitchen, something exciting is happening. You will need a blade. Did you take the pills? Scratch out the entrails? The Egyptian widely used honey for embalming and preserving food. Later, the recipes were adopted by the Greeks. Also, add a teaspoon of apricot jam, a walnut, and a little cinnamon. Before baking, put a teaspoon of butter on top of microwave for 5 to 7 minutes at full power. Don't listen to them scream. Oh my god. Oh my god, what was that? Bon appetit. What the fuck was that? The next time he saw her was in a few days or maybe in a week. He always had a bad sense of time, especially when he was immersed in his work. He still couldn't sleep, but at least he was making some progress with the script. It was a narrative game project. As the customer called it, but actually meant do whatever you have to finish it on time, else forget about the payment. And so he did, although he was resentful, and that got it in the way a lot. The reason of those feelings was the cat. What, you just met her. He knew how stupid that was, but he couldn't help it. He forgave her for the bite almost immediately. That wasn't the thing. He was bitter about how the cat ran away despite him trying his best to take care of her. Hey, yo, this dude trying to clap a cat, bro. Like, yo, he's weird. She was nowhere to be found in the house, so he immediately thought about an open window on the second floor. Bro, maybe he should have closed it. He dwelled on the thought for a while. He even approached the window at some point, but in the end, he decided not to do anything about it. He was hoping, and there was no shame in that. It's not the same as you turn up 10 and start eyeing girl. Yeah, this dude's trying to clap a cat, bro. And she did. Like, you're weird, bro. He had just settled himself on a sofa with some book. Some was the word, as he couldn't remember as a thing from the cover, even though he read the title several times. Oh my god. The symbols were floating before his eyes, and of course he couldn't make out a word. No wonder, considering he didn't sleep at all. When you think about it, it was surprising he could write in this state. Either way, he was barely following the book. so he wasn't upset at all when a fluffy head butted his hand. Hey, I'm trying to read here. He complied. That's crazy. You were absent for so long. I thought you won't be back. You wouldn't be back. There's a big difference between expectations and hopes. He had learned that well. Why did you leave? Did I do anything wrong? The cat stayed silent. I know you're happy, you loser. After all, there was no point in his grudge from the start. Nobody gained anything by holding on to small grudges. Okay, that's okay. And staying blind to what they... Well, no, I wouldn't. I gotta use the mouse here. The locket around her neck, unexpectedly cold, touched his skin. Then he got a hunch. Did you go home? Well, something must be caring about you if they put the collar on. Someone must be caring about you. Sometimes a collar is just... This time it was him who stayed silent. The cat buried her head in his stomach. Want me to take it off? Oh, sorry, I'm looking at a tweet. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna use the mouse. Turn off the auto. The cat's fur was thick and smooth, very pleasant to touch. He wanted to bury his face in it to find out what it's from. Yeah, sorry, my face turned from a smile to a straight face because this dude is weird. What she smells like? Do you have a name? Bro, he literally over here trying to... Of course. Take a guess. But she didn't actually say anything. On her locket, there was a small engraving, a crescent moon that was dimly shining in the pale light coming out of the window. Selene? The cat looked at him, and her pupils flickered into 2 full moons and an eclipse. I won't. That's how he said it. I won't. She left, but the name stayed with him, in and around the house. Selene. So hummed the glass, white in the moonlight. So whispered the long shadows of the... This dude's writing a poem about it, but that's crazy. If branches outside the window. What is Selene? For some reason, the question bothered him. He vaguely remembered it had something to do with the mythology. Such things never really caught his interest, but fortunately he knew someone he could turn to. I'm drinking water, bro. This is getting crazy. What the what? Okay, this is a regular human girl? Meanie. Hold on. hold on. You know, I can't stand them. Who the heck is Ethan? Who the heck is he? That's not. Who the heck is Ethan? And you know, it's me who will take care of it after all. You're basically living in the office. Is that a guy? Is that a guy? Oh, am I Ethan? And then because okay, I'm Ethan. Okay. The Cattery website then slapped her husband lightly on the shoulder. Husband? Hold on. Ethan held up his hands in a conciliatory gesture. Conciliatory. He knew it wasn't over. She never was, and for him, there was something incredibly appealing about it. Come to think of it, quite possible it'll be him who capitulates in the end. In a relationship, you always have to sacrifice something. In 4.5 years, or even 5 according to Hope, he had to learn this quite well. Suddenly Hope frowned, looking at the screen. Seems like you got an email from a tough one. I can't quite read it. It just hit your work mailbox. Let me see. I hope I got a new project. The Middle Ages are fine and all, but they are about to start pouring out of my ears. Right. Why don't we talk contracts on a Sunday evening? So which one of us is all work and no play, Well, such are the benefits of... Oh, she's talking. I just realized that. Freelance. Come on, give it back. Hope giggled and leaned over the armrest hanging over the floor. Hope's defenses withstood several more attacks each time Ethan thought the laptop would definitely hit the floor. Then she gave Ethan a peck on the cheek and slid off the couch. The laptop returned to its owner. I mean, what if they actually give you a new contract, but on the same old Middle Ages? Now that would be a twist. Yeah, a hilarious one. Leaving the formalities aside, there was but one question in the letter. Ethan, or rather the part of him that was responsible for finding the accurate answers, got immediately engaged by the wording. Was it Selene? What is Selene? Ethan rolled the question around in his mouth, as if tasting it. At a glance, the answer was simple. Ethan's real passion was the early Renaissance, but he was a history consultant. After all, at least he liked to think to himself that way. The agent was paying him for a reason. He needed no research to tell that Selene was the goddess of the moon in the ancient Greece. The question, however, seemed to be way more intricate in its nature. Or at least that's what Ethan wanted to think, because the Middle Ages were actually about to start pouring out of his ears. He was always diving into his work completely and living in an age where madness, curse, and death are contagious in an exhaustion. I don't know what he's talking about. I'm not gonna lie. He needed some distraction. Of course, he had a part-time job with those online courses, but the platform where he lectured wasn't planning anything new just yet. All in all, the request looked interesting. It's not for one small matter: the payment, or rather the lack thereof. Ethan hesitated. The sender name seemed familiar. He searched the email address and found out they already worked together on a couple of texts. Both times his efforts were duly paid for by the agency. Ethan never worked for free. Never! It wasn't his principle. Look, they forgot it in there, but rather a matter of necessity. The problem here was the fact that Ethan loved what he was doing too much. And if you are trying to make money from what you love, that's a slippery slope. I wonder if they need someone to go through and like refix the words. Like I'll do that for some money. I'm just like Ethan. A free service there, an unpaid consolation here, and then you go back to splitting the sheet protectors 8 hours a day, watching your dreams rust away. Besides, Ethan didn't want to let Hope down. Of course she supported him when he decided to go freelance, but Ethan never wanted to take advantage of that. No, that won't do. He works only under contract and does not give free consultations. Just as he was about to give that as a response, Hope's fair head popped from behind the door. She kind of bad though. On the walk, Hope brought up the cat thing a few more times. Ethan protested absently. His thoughts went back to the letter again and again, to that question. The more he thought about it, the more he wanted to find the answer. It was no longer a matter of helping an acquaintance whose name Ethan immediately forgot. No, it was Ethan himself who needed a little help with distraction and an answer. That was a weird thing to do, but Ethan waited until Hope was fast asleep. Only then did he sneak over to his laptop to write a response. Certainly he had no real answer as of yet. He threw in a few dozen polite words, the general meaning of which was he had taken up the case. Then he clicked send. Send. When Ethan returned to bed, Hope was still breathing slow and deep. He listened to her breathe for a while, trying not to think that he had broken his own rule. After all, he really needed a distraction. No matter the strength of your affection, sooner or later you will want to take a break. It was another thing he had to learn over the past 4.5 years. I mean, honestly, when I want to take a break with my YouTube, I just do AMVs. That's straight up. If Ethan had to point out when things started to be off, he would say it was on Saturday. That is about a week after the first letter. And I do like these playthroughs like beforehand, so you know I could take a break for a week and be fine. Those weird things started happening immediately after he pressed the send button. The first night he saw a room in his dreams. Okay. The heck? A chipped white ceiling and similarly rough walls lit with fluorescent lamps. Ethan couldn't see the lamps themselves, but he recognized the cold shimmering lights. They often used those lamps in the office. The light filled the room to the brim. Ethan thought it was about to burst, and then the light would splash all over the room, just like the juice from a squashed tomato. Apart from the walls and the light, the room had a red sofa. The sofa stood just a bit aside from the center, not too large, quite faded, flooded with shimmering white light. The light made the sofa seem to be trembling a little, and the room trembled with it. Yeah, I'm not sure what in the world is going on. Suddenly, Ethan thought it would be way better if the sofa was standing right in the middle. Then he felt something on his temple, a touch. He had to flinch, scream, stumble to the side, yet he couldn't. He was paralyzed. Only his eyes could move, and they desperately tried to reach beyond his field of vision, where something was touching his temple. You can kind of see your forehead. I don't know why. Okay, whatever. Ethan felt a faint flow of air as if someone was whispering in his ear. He did hear the whisper, just one word. Ethan no longer remembered what the word was when he jumped up in his bed, gasping for air. Hope muttered something in her sleep and turned to the other side. It took a long time to get back to sleep, but by morning, Ethan did pass out, and when he woke up, the dream wiped out of his mind pretty quick. The task at hand interested him much more than some muck spilling out of his consciousness. He was thinking about the task while he was chewing on the morning toast, driving to the bank, all the way back. It was just like a Christmas present, waiting for its time in the closet. The more you tell yourself you shouldn't think about it, the more you do. At home, Ethan tried to stick to his plan, working on the project he was paid for, but ended up sitting over a single report for several hours. He couldn't squeeze out a letter. To hell with it. After all, he was almost done with his current project. It wouldn't be much of a problem if he presented the result a bit later on, would it? My God, these just take a lot out of me. But I really like visual novels. I'm not gonna stop. I'm never gonna stop. I have a problem. To hell with it. Ethan thought he closed the files of the project he was paid for. There's plenty of information, but Ethan knew he would not get an answer right away. The accurate answers, just like the previous pearls, lay at great depths. He had to go down to the very bottom. Ethan was not afraid. He had done it many times. His counterpart might have to wait for a week or so, but Ethan knew he'll manage to crack the riddle. Bro, that was weird. Okay, that startled me. I'm not even gonna lie to you. What the fuck was that? What he didn't know is what else could be found at those great depths. And at some point in this investigation, things started happening. Yeah, I see. He started hearing sparse phrases, even though he never turned on TV or radio, and Hope wasn't even at home. When he sat in front of the screen, once again trying to reconnect the dots in his research, he could feel someone looking at the back of his head. When he turned around, of course there was no one in the room. Eventually, bro, I saw that. He taught himself not to turn around. He just got angry, pushing fingers into his temples when the familiar feeling appeared again. He started losing things, or rather, things would disappear and then appear in the strangest of places. One day he found his pencil in the freezer, stuck in a minced meat briquette? Bro, what the fucking word? Even when the briquette baguette. Baguette has a G in it. Does it? I don't know. He couldn't pull the whole pencil out. What? Hold on, your pencil, all Ethan got was a bloody stump. Yeah, you bit in the wood. Like, what you... Okay. At this point, he could stop and think of it. But got distracted by the coffee maker and mindlessly shoved the stump into the trash bin. What's going on? What is going on? There was something wrong with the shadows too. I'm agreeing with him. They became sharper, thicker, and deeper. It was the case in the whole apartment. Sometimes they moved. Of course, Ethan only felt like they were moving. It couldn't have been any other way. Ethan didn't really pay attention to any of this, just like he did with that dream he had. All that seemed very familiar, as he already experienced similar things during the periods of intense work, when his nervous system was exhausted by the workload. There always was a rational explanation. The stress, or those new, much more environmentally friendly light bulbs that Hope had installed all around the apartment. Besides, it's so easy to dismiss the sorts of things when you're deeply invested into something, and this question really got Ethan involved. Every time he seemed to get it right, his thought went off. Like he was climbing a rock, but a safe ledge suddenly turned slippery, and the next thing he knew, he's at the bottom again. He never faced anything like that during his previous research. There was times he had to spend weeks or months looking for the right answers. Those were the tricky cases. I'm about to sneeze. Bless me. This time he was stumbling in his tracks without knowing why, and that's why he could tell. Something like that. The week was over, but he still had nothing to send back to his contact. In his reply, Ethan asked a couple of questions. Not that he was really interested, just as a courtesy. And that's how their surprisingly exciting email conversation started. With this, Ethan's contact grew to be something more. Something of a friend, maybe. He never asked how Ethan's work was progressing. This was the question Ethan asked himself, and the answer was never good for him. Of course he started sleeping badly. Falling asleep was easy. But he woke up many times during the night, sometimes in a cold sweat. He's having night terrors, and I think he has insomnia a little bit. I forgot the other one. I'm literally in psychology. I can't even think. Ethan could not remember his dreams. He's definitely having sleep terrors though, waking up in a sweat. It's crazy. That night he woke up about 3 or 4 times. Yeah, he's having, is it insomnia? No. Hold on, I got my notes on my phone. At first, I'm not gonna read. I'm gonna let it go. I'm gonna find this shit. Ethan felt terribly thirsty. The floor was bloody cold. Where is it at, bro? What the what? Alright, that don't look right. Bro, I'm not sure if I have to blur that out. I'm not gonna lie. It's black, but it's still a silhouette. Ethan could clearly see the points of her nipples. Yeah, we all can see it. I'll see what YouTube does. She was dancing. She was dancing and humming silence, and Ethan's ears was her music. I can't find it. Ethan was watching her, unable to move. He was paralyzed, just like back then in his dreams, but he did not remember it. At that moment, he didn't remember anything at all. Couldn't think about anything at all. What is this? He felt an itch in his eyes and the momentary urge to blink. Thank you. For a fraction of a second, he could only see the thick, vicious. It's not. That's not how you spell. That's how you say. That's not how you say vicious. That's not how you say vicious, bro. Hold on. Let me go. That's not how you spell vicious. No way. We're looking this up. We're looking this up. In the middle. Yes. In the middle of the recording. We're looking this up. There's no word that's spelled. I think they're trying to say vicious, but they're putting an S in there for some reason. And that was supposed to happen? What did he really see? Yeah, I think they're trying to spell vicious and they're putting an S in there. That's weird. Grabbed the decanter and started to drink in big, greedy sips. No, that wasn't a delusion. The kitchen was completely empty and the floor felt warm again, and yet it wasn't a delusion. And all of this was begging for a rational explanation. That's why Ethan decided he should talk to Hope in the morning. Something changed. Did you give anyone the apartment keys? By chance? Hope froze with a cup at her lips and blinked several times. Maybe you let someone in? I feel like someone is visiting our place. Exactly what I said. It's been a while since I started noticing random things vanish. And yesterday Hope frowned. She looked at Ethan as if a toad had just popped out of his mouth. Yesterday, you what? I saw someone in our kitchen last night. Some girl. What a show you put on. What? I'm about to end the episode soon, guys. It was you?
なんていうか、最近全然会えてなかったから、甘いお菓子が夜のお楽しみって感じでね。っていうか、あのカップケーキのことまだ覚えてたのね。びっくりしたわ。
Yeah, we're gonna end it right here, guys. I'll see you guys in the next episode. I hope you enjoyed so far.